Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Now, nationwide home prices from peak are down $10,600. And on top of that, interest rates, mortgage interest rates, have been plummeting except the last 3 days post the aggressive 50 basis point rate cut to the federal funds rate. In today's video, we're going to go under the hood and we're going to compare what it's like to rent versus own, and we're going to look at that data over a 3-year period of time. So I'm going to eliminate the emotions and we're going to look at the simple math to see what's better right now on average. Now, in addition to that, we're going to look at leading indicators like prices, days on market, payments, demand, mortgage applications. But remember, real estate is about hyper-local markets. And if you want to know what's going on in your markets, understand that generally properties are located in subdivisions. And using simple math and filtering the data, you can understand the trends on what's going on in your market. If you're new to the channel or haven't taken it yet, remember I have a free home buying course in the link in my description. I've been doing this, guys, roughly for 20 years. So there is overwhelming value in the courses that you can take right now for free. If those courses are helping you and you're learning, comment below and let everyone know they're helping. Now, a couple quick notes. We have now entered a rate cut cycle with the Federal Reserve starting with an aggressive 50 basis point rate cut to the federal funds rate. Now, number one, prices are down at the same time that demand is down, at the same time that payments are down, at the same time as inventory is up. In other words, you guys, the realtors that said, and professionals, and anyone really that said that a flood of buyers are coming back to the market were flat out wrong. And I'm wondering if we should get a mug with the saying, they were wrong. Now to the right, I want to go over what it's like real quick, renting versus owning over 3 years. If the difference in renting versus owning is $1,000 now, in my market, in my current situation, it's way more than $1,000 to own what I'm currently renting. But what I'm going to use is $1,000 difference. And comment below, maybe it's different for your market. Let me know. But for me, it is different. It's closer to $2,000. Nevertheless, if we invest that $1,000 as we're renting, we're left at the end of 3 years with close to $42,000 in liquid. Now, if we own, we have roughly $12,310 if there's no equity gain, and all we're counting is the loan being paid down. Because remember, you guys, getting a mortgage can be a horrible deal because of the way that mortgage is amortized. Now, above the surface, it appears that we would have 340% more profit owning versus renting. I want to go deeply under the hood because those numbers are wrong. Let's do a fair comparison and let's use math and take today's information and see whether or not, on average, is it best to rent versus own. Starting with this amortization schedule, I'm using a loan amount of $324,000 on a 30-year loan at today's interest rates of 6.17%. You can see the total interest over the life of the loan is $388,000, but all we're going to do is use the first 3 years to do the comparison. So in the first 3 years, the total amount of principal that we pay on that loan is $12,310. You don't need to remember this. I'm going to show you all of these notes at the end of this segment. Number two, we're going to talk about the tax advantages of owning, and I am not a financial advisor. You're going to want to talk to a CPA, but I got this next information straight from Freddie Mac's website. Take a look. When we use a purchase price of $350,000, add a 10% down payment, with today's interest rates is 6.17%. This is showing on our taxes that we will have a yearly tax savings of $5,385. I bring this up because that's something that I take into consideration as far as the pros and cons of owning versus renting. And again, now that I'm renting, one thing that I really miss about owning is the tax breaks I used to get. But nevertheless, always contact a CPA. I'll get to equity here in a second, but now let's talk about expenses, starting with maintenance. I use this chart on a $350,000 home, and I'm going to use, and this is important to understand, the low end. Again, you guys, I'm going to use the lowest end, which is an annual maintenance cost of $3,500. But look here, it can get up to, according to this data, $14,000. So I'm only using $3,500 over a period of 3 years. In addition to those expenses, we're also going to do HOA expenses. According to these statistics, the average is $170. Now, to me, that seems a little bit high, but over 3 years, that's going to be $6,120 expense over a 3-year period of time. So what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, here's how much your mortgage is, here's how much your rent is, the difference in that is $1,000. Plus, we're also going to add on equity, and we're taking out the expenses that I just went over. Now, let's talk about how to invest your money potentially if you're renting. Looking at this investment calculator and taking the $1,000 difference per month and putting that into an investment account that yields annually 8% over a course of 3 years. And this was suggested, by the way, I didn't come up with the 8%. This program came up with the 8%, so I think it's fair. Nevertheless, if you're renting, at the end of that 3 years, if you invested your money, you should have a liquid $41,884. Let's compare all of these things. Take a look. Starting with the own column on the left, I've added the loan equity there at $12,310. I've also added home equity of 3% on a $350,000 house. Now, different markets will do different things, and we're assuming that home prices aren't going to go down, which I believe they are going to go down. But nevertheless, we're going to use 3%, which would total $31,500 in home equity. And remember, that's not liquid. We have to take out of the equation maintenance, because maintenance is not in your mortgage. So after 3 years, the low end of maintenance should be around $10,500. When we look at 3 years of HOA fees, that's $6,120. Now remember, you guys, because it's not liquid, in order to gain access to any of that equity, there's going to be a fee, whether you refi or sell. And I'm going to take the lower end of that fee and say it's 3%, when on average, it's more like 8%. So the total of fees to refinance or sell on average at 3% would be roughly $9,720. And understand, it could be double that amount. When we add the average income tax benefit of $16,155, that gives us a total of $33,625 of potential equity after we minus out estimated expenses. When we invested the money, we would have got renting not only freedom to move and no surprise increases, we would have got $41,884 in profit. So as of right now, using this information, it appears that it's smarter to rent, and that the profit on top of the freedom would be 19.7% more profitable to rent over a 3-year period of time versus own. On conclusion of this segment, what I want you guys to understand is that the math varies greatly and the market varies greatly. In other words, it's not just a slam dunk purchasing a house. And if you have to purchase a house right now, the more fundamentals you use up front, the safer you will be in the long run. And that's the point I wanted to make when comparing rent versus own. The name of this week's Redfin article is Housing Payments Post Biggest Decline, again, payments, not prices, in 4 years ahead of Fed's historic rate cut, which could lure buyers off the sidelines. And I'm asking the question, why not sellers? Because that's exactly what it looks like is starting to happen. This was released yesterday, September 19th. Couple things I want to read here. Monthly housing payments have declined nearly $300 from April's all-time high. Improving affordability has yet to push up pending sales, but that could change after the Fed interest rates for the first time since 2020 this week. But again, the last 3 days, mortgage interest rates went up, not down. Despite mortgage payments being $300 cheaper and rates being about 100 basis points lower, as this article is indicating, demand has not come back. That's starting to become a stark reality for a lot of professionals that were giving the wrong advice. We see that in this data as well. This is Mortgage News Daily. When we look at this year over year, it's not quite year over year. I'm going to September 25th to August 26th because we're still missing some purchase index information. You can see I've notated that there. So instead of using the 6.09%, in other words, you guys, mortgage rates are in the 5% right now. Remember all the people that said, oh, head games with consumers, they're foolish machines and animals, and as soon as they go to 5%, people are just going to go buy houses. Wrong. But regardless of 5% being in the market, we're going to August 26th. And when we compare those numbers, what we see is interest rates are about 100 basis points lower, but demand went down. So even though rates went down 100 basis points, demand is down. I've notated comparing the purchase index starting in September of last year at 144.8, that has gone down to 131.8. So far, the only thing that's happening is inventory and new listings are going up. And I'll get to that here in a minute. I'm gonna go back into the Redfin article and I want y'all to tell me, please, seriously, comment below and tell me whether or not you agree with them. And I'm gonna share with you a little bit about my comments, but I wanna hear what you have to say. Do you agree with them or not? Are they just trying to make the market seem stronger than it actually is? Here's what they say. I'm glad they're confirming this first part. Mortgage applications are rising, and remember, that's an application, not a closed deal, but pending sales have yet to improve. Mortgage purchase applications are up 5% week over week, with some buyers jumping off the sidelines as mortgage rates fall. But many would-be buyers are still holding off, with pending home sales down a whopping 6.9% year over year, one of the biggest declines since October of 2023. And again, that's with lower interest rates. That's despite both lower housing payments and more homes to choose from. And I'm gonna ask you guys, so why don't you think home buying demand has come back? Do you guys think it has anything to do with prices? Anyone think that at all? I do. I think it has a lot to do with prices not matching income growth. Let's keep going. New listings are up 5.1% year over year, and the total number of homes for sale is up 16.1% year over year. There are several reasons sales haven't yet picked up. Home prices are still rising. Now, I did put wrong there because according to their own data, they're not rising. They're down over $10,000 from peak. That's why I noted that, but again, share with me your opinions. Redfin agents report that some would-be buyers are waiting for mortgage rates to fall, while other prospective buyers aren't even aware that rates have started to fall. Aside from rate-related reasons, agents report many house hunters are confused about the new National Association rules, and others are waiting until after elections. And I'm going to tell you guys that new buyer's rep agreement doesn't, in my opinion, it does not help buyers. It helps realtors because now they can say you legally have to sign this buyer's rep. You legally have to be committed to me to work on buying a house. I hate it. Third paragraph. Buyers are holding their breath, watching interest rates. There's pent-up energy with people waiting for the right moment to buy a home, and it's feeling, they always go to their feelings, not the math, like a dam is going to burst. They're always serving that dish of fear of missing out, right? Just right around the corner. You're going to lose all of your opportunity right around the corner. Once things are more settled and people know where mortgage rates are going to land and who is going to be president, the market is going to get busier. I think winter will be busier than summer, which is the opposite of a usual year. And again, what about price? Why no mention of that? You know, guys, maybe I'm biased. I've seen comments like a flood of buyers have come back. They're out in full force, which I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Literally every single data set is saying the buying demand right now in pretty much in virtually every single market is in the gutter, worse than the great financial crisis. Let's look at this week's leading indicators and I'll show you just that. Now, this week's leading indicators is showing that interest rates are actually down from 7.33%. Now, day over day, that's at 6.17%. So again, down greatly. When we look at the weekly average, again, down almost 100 basis points, and yet mortgage purchase applications are still down year over year by only 0.4%. That's not a closed transaction. Redfin home buying demand is showing down way more at 7%, while Google home searches for sale is down a whopping 16%. Moving on to the winners and losers, let's look at Redfin's top 50 most popular metro areas and see how they're doing. Now, starting with price increases and decreases, in the increase column or the winner column, depending how you look at it, Northpark is leading at 11.8%, Milwaukee at 10.2%, Providence at 10.1%, Nashua at 8.7%, Warren at 7.9%. The loser column has 9 metro areas. They're only showing 5. Austin down 4.8%, and that's year over year over year. Austin has taken a beating. And look at this. California, a whopping 3.1% in Oakland, California. And then we have San Antonio down 2.5%, another Dallas Metro at 2.3%, and Tampa, Florida at 1.5% year over year decline. And that is the 4-week rolling average. When we look at pending sales, look at the loser column. West Palm Beach down 20%, Miami down 19%, New Brunswick down 14.9%. Another Florida, Fort Lauderdale down 14.7%. So Florida's plummeting. Atlanta down 14.2%. Pending sales are up though, single digits. San Antonio, San Jose, Phoenix, start San Diego because I'm watching San Diego, a lot of crazy stuff out there. And then Cleveland as well, 3.6. Now take a look at new listings. Leading the way in new listings, Las Vegas. 18.3, Phoenix very close to Las Vegas, 18.2, San Jose up 17.1, New York up 14.9, and Anaheim up 14.4% with new listings. Moving right along to Redfin's median sales price chart. You guys know how much I hate the revisions, but it seems like this week they're finally acknowledging this, the fact that home prices are actually down. We're not at 390 anymore, which it seems like we're at 390 for the last 5 weeks. But right now we're at 385, 375,000. We're down from 396. In other words, you guys, we're down roughly $10,600. We started the year at a median of 361,303. Which means if we're going to end the year with year-over-year decline, we have another $24,000 to go down on the 4-week rolling. Active listings slightly under 1 million, sitting at 998,854. We need this to reverse. However, it might not until March. It just depends how low rates go, because the lower the rates go, the more homeowners will get off the sideline to sell their houses. Look at the trajectory of new listings. The trajectory is going up and we're almost ahead of 2022. Now on a lot of these graphs, all I'm doing is comparing 2024 to 2022, because remember in 2022 we had median sales price decline. We had deflation in the housing market the second half of 2022. So we are almost now ahead of that time when it comes to new listing, and that trajectory is going up. Keep your eyes on that. I think the reason, and I hope the reason we're seeing that again, is because that golden handcuff effect, meaning the lower interest rates go, not that there's going to be a flood of home buyers. There'll be a flood of home sellers. Keep your eyes on this data. That is bucking normal seasonal decline. Again, it's going up, not down when it normally goes down. Supply is a measure of active listing units versus demand. That equals supply. We're at 3.9 right now, you guys, and look at the trajectory. That is freaking skyrocketing. So that's beautiful to see. And right now we're at 2017 and 2019 levels of supply. I want you guys to stop real quick and think about that. Few more leading indicators when it comes to days on market. We're sitting at 37 days. We didn't hit that mark in 2022 until November 27th. So again, that's why I think that we will end this year with some type of nominal home price decline. I'm hoping 5% at this point. Regardless, stay on top of the data. I know we have voodoo proprietary indexes, but nevertheless, this is the data we have. I'll be watching it. Price cuts continue to accelerate despite average mortgage payments being down $300, again, because price matters more. Regardless, we're sitting at 6.5%, even with lower interest rates. Again, I want you to think about that. They pulled so much demand forward that even lower interest rates plummeting at this point in the cycle, it doesn't even matter so far. When we look at home buying housing payments, that is down finally 2.7% year over year. I'm not saying, I never said payment's not important. I just said price is way more important almost all of the time. I never said payment is not important, because payment is definitely important. And right now, even with that $300 decline, we're still roughly $900 higher than what we were in 2021, as I've indicated with that red vertical line. Redfin Home Buying Demand Index down 7%. At this point in your journey, you should know my feelings on the housing market and essentially what I think is going to happen. That is if you've been paying attention. Some people don't pay attention, that's fine. But if you have, you probably know what I believe is going to happen. But what I am interested in and fascinated to learn is, what do you guys think is going to happen next? What do you guys think is going to happen in 2025? If you can, comment below. I'm going to read every single comment. I'm going to do the best I can to respond to that. But I am excited to hear from you. Let me know what you think is going to happen next in the housing market. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck and I hope you win.